This video was created for educational purposes only. Our goal is to educate and expose the current agenda of the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party, DNC, is no longer the party of your mother, grandmother, father, grandfather, or of our elders of the past. It is now a party that leans heavily towards leftist socialist ideology, of which the country decisively rejected. So now the Democratic Party is on a mission of survival, and this mission moves forward through lies and deception. And it is a mission that excludes God and promotes unrighteousness. But President Trump is also on a mission to stop the diabolical plans of the DNC to retain power, exclude God, to expand their voter base, and their plot to expand their number of congressional seats by keeping illegal immigrants in the country. My sincere hope would be that you watch this video and educate yourself on what is really going on. America was really supposed to have been on schedule to go to hell in a handbasket. Vice President Kamala Harris, along with her evil and abominable platform, which consisted of abortion on demand, LGBTQ/sodomy rights, and gender affirming surgery for children. The most insidious plank in Kamala's platform had to do with illegal immigration. But God spared this country from total satanic domination when Donald J. Trump won the presidency, and he won on a platform of specific mandates. One of these mandates had to do with illegal immigration and controlling the border. These following two presentations will deal with the immigration issue and immigration law. If Vice President Kamala Harris would have won, millions of illegal immigrants would have been fast tracked into American citizenship. And of course, if this had happened, the Democratic Party would have been set up to remain in power for the next decade. Illegal migrants would have swelled the Democratic voter base, and Democratic congressional seats would have also been added when the 2030 1930 census rolled around. Remember, the census only counts bodies. In short, the Democrats wanted to turn these illegal migrants into voters. But the Democrats decisively lost. And because of this loss, the Democrats' fury now runs hot. Now, there are very clear and demonstrable lies that the Democrats are telling, and they are using these lies to get the masses angry and riled up. They're inflaming and exacerbating these same masses by using language like Hitler, Nazi, concentration camps, Gestapo tactics, and disappearing people. But the truth of the whole matter is they are the ones who have leaned heavily left to socialism, which leads to Marxism and eventually communism. All the accusations the Democrats make against Republicans actually describes them and their party. All the law enforcement activity that is happening now could have been easily avoided if these sanctuary cities would have simply cooperated with ICE and allowed ICE to pick up these criminal migrants at their local jails and prisons. But the stupid mayors of these sanctuary cities have chosen not to cooperate, which forced ICE to go into their communities and conduct law enforcement operations, and in the process, non migrant criminals are also swept up and deported because ICE is obligated to enforce immigration laws. And because of ICE enforcement operations, illegal immigrant family structures that break immigration laws have been uprooted and destroyed by no fault of the Homeland Security or ICE operations. And all this the fault of Democratic policies that were put in place by the Biden administration.
Right now, your mayor is below 7% approval rating. That is one of the lowest, if not the lowest, mayoral approval ratings in history. Who is he fighting for when the great people of Chicago have said time and time again that they do not want these sanctuary policies?
Well, he is fighting for the migrants. Those are the people that you see him standing up for. And that's right now who we feel like he's fighting for. Now, right now, Mayor Johnson is on this tour across the city of Chicago, primarily in Black communities to try to win back the voters that he has lost. I don't think he's going to be able to do that because as of yesterday, Mayor Johnson and City Council, we certainly don't want to put this on him, voted for another over $800 million bond that's going to cost the city over time $2.2 billion, which basically has contributed to sending our credit rating below national standards, which, is something that we don't want to see happen. And his excuse for that is, well, other mayors before me have done it. And just the stupidity of it all, when you're sitting back and you're looking and you're saying that, we elected you because we thought you were going to be different. We elected you because we thought you were going to be fiscally responsible. and this is not fiscally responsible. And even with the state of Illinois, the mismanagement continues. Right now, we see that the state has underestimated the amount of money that they've spent on migrant health care, which is also sending our state budget into a $2.2 billion deficit. So when you look at the money that is being spent, we have to say that not only in Chicago, but in the state of Illinois, the people are not the priority.
Enforcement, one of the things LA has done is has continued to be a target specifically of military force in immigration enforcement, is set up local police perimeters around schools to shield students from federal agents without warrants. Have you considered, or would you consider, setting up CPD perimeters around public spaces in Chicago, including schools, or does that not fall under the department's purview?
Excuse me. Again, it's unconscionable at a time in which so many working people and poor people need government to show up for them, that this administration, the Trump administration, has caused so much consternation and division. Look, we are a welcoming city ordinance. Our local police department will not ever cooperate with ICE. Whatever their constitutional authority is, that is obviously relegated to the Trump administration. All of our sister agencies, city departments, have been thoroughly briefed by a corporate counsel, and I'll pass it over to her in a second, about what they can and cannot do. Mary?
Good morning. I appreciate the question. The mayor referenced the guidelines that we issue to all city departments, as well as guidances to city agencies and Alder Corps, so they would know the parameters on what they can, acts they can take and not take. We are prohibited from viewed as, quote, interfering with a federal law enforcement action. The mayor also noted that CPD will not support ICE-related actions. We do stay in contact with 12 other cities around the country, and we are constantly examining the steps they're taking and reevaluating what additional steps we might take in the city of Chicago.
1,500 teachers out into this year's deficit.
The impact of CPS's $734 million budget deficit is starting to be felt. Worried that they might not see their negotiated retro pay until the fall, the Chicago Teachers Union is speaking out.
They must pass a budget that isn't going to shortchange our students.
Last month, the district laid off 161 employees and says it will not fill more than 200 positions. Although the financial picture is murky, the teachers say they won't tolerate waiting for CPS to make good on their new contract.
We're not going back to Pedro Martinez's false promises that we have a significant and appropriate amount of spending to fund our contract.
Well, Joe, as you said, hundreds of teachers, special education assistants, and even parents who help out in the classroom are impacted by these latest cuts. Let me break it down. The layoffs include 432 teachers, members of the Chicago Teachers Union. 123 of them teach special education students. CPS said the number of teachers cut this year is about 50 less than last year. But special education classroom assistants appear to be impacted more this year.
So where are they going to find the money to fund all of these obligations, y'all? You should already know that the answer to that is to raise your taxes. So what they do is, first there are taxes, right? And you pay them. Then they say, hey, let's take this tax money and give it to people who are in the country without permission. So they give it to them. And then they say, hold on, we don't have any money to fund the services that we promised to the people. Let's raise more taxes from the same people. You see how that works? So you give to the government, they take it, they do something wrong with it. I'm calling it wrong in my opinion. Then when they don't have it anymore and they didn't do for you what they're supposed to do for you, they want to come back to you to get the money from you to do for you what they should have done for you in the first place.
Bass, can I ask you a question? When you gonna talk about reparations though? We went wait for you to mention about reparations. When you gonna mention that since it's Juneteenth? That's the question I gotta ask though. We need you to start mentioning about reparations, Karen Bass.
Yes.
Hey, Karen Bass. Hey, Mayor Karen Bass. Hold on a second. Okay.
Can I get a picture with Karen?
Hey, Mayor Karen Bass, when you gonna start mentioning about reparations?
But you can't make an omelet without breaking some eggs.
Took place at MacArthur Park in downtown LA.
As a natural disaster, the worst in California's recent history, and to report on the progress. While I was on the way, though, I got alerted that there was a ICE operation, military intervention, who knows, at MacArthur Park. I turned around, we went to the park. I could see a helicopter in the air. I think it was a Black Hawk helicopter. And I saw military tanks. It was the Custom and Border Patrol, and it might have been military on the periphery. To me, this is another example of the administration ratcheting up chaos by deploying what looked like a military operation in an American city. So I went to MacArthur Park because it is very important that the truth be told about what happened there. Agenda of provoking fear and terror. Frankly, it is outrageous and un-American that we have federal armed vehicles in our parks when nothing is going on in the parks. It's outrageous and un-American that the federal government seized our state's National Guard. It's outrageous and un-American that we have U.S. Marines who are trained to kill foreign soldiers overseas deployed in our American city. So here's the truth. There's no plan other than fear, chaos, and politics. Home Depot one day, a car wash the next, armed vehicles and what looked like mounted military units in a park the next day.